of the times they tried to kill me, I had been living in a village called Bishasateti that had a long-standing war that was begun maybe 25 or 30 years earlier, in which many of the Bishasateti were killed by the village I was going in to try to make first contact with. But because I had lived in Bishasateti for so long, the village that I was trying to make contact with identified me intimately with the Bishasateti as if I were one of the Bishasatetis. So they vowed to kill me even before they met me. And in fact, they even held a ceremony with another village that I happen to know quite well, where they made an effigy of me out of a log, and they painted it with human symbols, put the log in the middle of the village clearing, and they attacked it symbolically and shot me full of arrows, which was what they wanted to do to me personally if I ever showed up in their village. Well, I did finally make it to their village, maybe 10 or 15 years after this incident, and I knew as soon as I walked into the village that something was different about meeting these people for the first time. I knew that they were very nervous, very edgy, and during the night, several of the adult male leaders of the village tried to sneak up on my hammock to kill me with an axe. But I had been taught by the Bishasateti, the village that I was living with, when you go to a strange village for the first time, you have to be on your guard. And they didn't know what a flashlight was, but they knew that it projected light. And I happened to have a flashlight, so they urged me that during the night, if I were to wake up, I should shine my flashlight around and make them aware that I was awake, and Mo Yahweh, which means alert, aware, familiar with my surroundings. So they would know that I would take care of myself. I also had a shotgun, which they had never seen before, at least in this village. And I demonstrated it for them. I threw a gourd of water up in the air and shot it, and it smashed into little tiny pieces, and water sprayed all over everybody. And they realized that this was a pretty powerful weapon. They called it arrow, my shedika. So I had demonstrated the power of my shotgun when I first went to the village, which impressed them. And so during the time they snuck up on me, I would shine I didn't know this, that they were sneaking up on me, but I shined my light around the village, as the Bishasateti suggested I do. And at dawn, when everybody was awake and got up and started moving, there was a faction in the village that wanted to keep me alive, because they realized the relationship between the goose and the golden egg. If you killed the goose, you won't get any golden eggs. And they wanted to maintain and develop a long-term relationship with me so that when I'd visit them, I could bring them gifts like knives and cooking pots and things like that. So they were against these guys that wanted to kill me. The next day when I did a census in their village, and I took Polaroid pictures of everyone by family, and then the group that wanted to be friends with me said, well, we better get back to your canoe. And I don't know why, but the official purpose was that we know that you have some gifts for us at the canoe, and if we get back there, we can make it by dark. So they wanted to get me out of the village because the other people wanted to kill me. So we ran all the way back to my canoe, and we covered in something like 4 hours what it took me 3 days to cover walking inland. That's how fast they made me walk, but they knew all the shortcuts, and they knew exactly where I put my canoe, hid my canoe on the bank of the river. All I had to do was tell them the name of the river that I hid it on. They knew right where it was. So they ran me back to my canoe. I gave them some gifts, and then I left. And about a year later, I only learned at that time that during my stay in the village that first night, 4 brothers who were members of the same lineage or the same patrilineal descent group were planning to kill me, and they had approached me several times during the night. But each time they did, I woke up and I shined my flashlight around, and they knew I was Mo Yahweh, and they never succeeded. But a year later, I found out what they were trying to do, and I was so weak when I heard the news, I almost collapsed, because I came that close to having my head bashed in by axes.